Good evening. Everyone seems to be drooling over the projected $1.7 trillion SpaceX IPO from the Financial Times to PitchBook. PitchBook? Virgin Galactic wants to fill the vacuum left by Blue's exit from the suborbital tourism arena. NASA needs to get their economists back. Toot sweet, so says economists. A Senate committee cleared the new NASA authorization bill, and they're calling for a moon base. Interesting. Spanish launch startup PLD raises $209 million to scale production. Vast raised another $500 million. They just announced that today. An outfit called Mutable Tactics, which I thought was interesting, raised $2.1 million for AI drone coordination initiatives in areas where satellites are just blanked out. The return of the space SPAC. It's official. Will it mean anything? Russia says their broken pad at Baikonur has been repaired. I'll believe it when I see a launch. Blue Origin paid $11.5 million for a site near Cocoa Beach, formerly used by SpaceX. And I'm going to end it with a visual capitalist showing the entire global economy by purchasing power parity. All that, and our guest, Dan Faber. From the news desk, the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. And of course, as you know, this program is brought to you by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And who are we and what do we do? Well, you know this, but we'll tell you anyway. We champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space adjacent enterprises worldwide. Our pitch events are world-class boot camps, fortify startups to be better investor ready. Now, a lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. So remember, the center is a 501c3 nonprofit. It's totally tax deductible for Americans. And so just go to our website, cscf.space/support, click that donate button, and drop something in the tip jar. In addition, if you like this show, you support this show, tell your friends, all of you. Bring one friend back with you. We want to hear from you. Thanks so much. Now, my oldest space friend, Michael Lane, just unfinished unpacking his new Merkaba. Michael, come on in.
Hey, how's things?
Hey, things are I lost all our house guests for a while, so a little peacefulness has settled in.
Sure,
It's been a good time, but there's some work I've missed out on too. So, who is that? Your cat? I keep seeing a gray cat going back and forth in the background.
It's a neighbor's cat, but we also feed it. So it doesn't come into the house, but we always put out a snack for it. There's two of them.
Trust me, he's got 3 other houses he's visiting as well. He's got
he's doing fine. Right? Yeah, he's doing fine. He just goes from place to place. He has a very plaintive meow that's very cultivated. And the raccoons show up also.
There you go.
And because there's plenty of game, there's the largest coyote I've ever seen sat right there and came through that same game trail. So yeah. And I live on, there's a big road that's maybe 200 feet that way. I mean, I live in the main area. I just happen to have a lot of trees around me.
Yeah. And we share it with critters.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what we do. We got a couple of those that occasionally stray by, and we give them a little something. You
get alligators, right?
Well, not in my neighborhood.
Not in your neighborhood.
And we look a big pond, and there's no alligator in that pond because now there are alligators way down a couple miles down the road on the St. Johns River now. but there's no way an alligator could physically get to our property. It's just too
Okay.
far to walk. They're not
Okay.
going to do it.
Too
It's just
far to
too much.
walk. That's
Then
the
you have to
problem.
find the entrance and come in, and then go through people's yards to find
Push,
the
push the gate code. Do they have to push gate code to get in? Yeah.
No gate codes.
All right.
I wish there were some days, but hey, that's the way that is. What's up with you? What's going on?
It's quiet here. I've been just heads down, focused on getting some reports written and some documents put together. And next week's a big week, so maybe I'll have some news to share next week. But
Good.
good.
Oh, we're having a big week next week. We're going to talk about that at the end, especially a week from today. It's going to be a very, very interesting time, and that's because of our first two stories of the day. Got something from the Financial Times that referred to SpaceX as the final frontier of IPOs, and I mean, this is what's happening. I'm not going to call it tulip mania yet, but you know what? It's just like everyone's jumping on. Now I've heard Citigroup is now going to be one of the big banks involved in this.
Okay,
that just came over the transom today.
I hadn't seen that. Okay,
yeah.
good.
There's just a quick blurb somewhere, some of that. I was like, okay, I'll see that. And, so there's what do we got here?
This thing has already jumped $250 billion because it was only 3 weeks ago that it was a $1.5 trillion value. And how did it jump from 1.5 to 1.75? One tweet from Musk, and somebody said something about, well, maybe what if it was higher? And one tweet later, it jumped $250 billion.
Yep.
Yeah. So tulip mania, I can see it. Yeah. It's amazing to watch. I went to an investor call that Mach 33 put on this morning, and they do analysis. That's their whole job. They do analysis for the VC community, and they were talking about the moon pivot and why they thought it was a pretty good idea. And that's why we do the moon. That's why a lot of people are doing the moon. But pretty wild.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, they're saying in the article, the fundamental challenge is reconciling the company's financial performance with the sticker price. The last year, SpaceX generated $8 billion in EBITDA on $16 billion in revenue, which is not bad for a company like that.
Right. Yeah.
That's firing hardware, But then now they've docked with XAI, and XAI was valued at $250 billion despite revenues of only $210 million and a cash burn of $9.5 billion for the first 9 months of last year. So, I don't know where you go with that, but it seems to be everybody's jumping up and down, like they just can't wait. The media have been guided to expect 2026 revenues of 22 to 24 billion. And but given the mid-year timing, investors will be pointed to 2027 projections, presumably with even punchier year-over-year growth.
Let's just say it's $25 billion. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
Is $25 billion in revenue, does that justify $1.75 trillion valuation? I mean, I like SpaceX. I do as a company. Maybe I don't like the guy so much, but I like the company. I like the people. Everybody I know there is pretty remarkable. But
I'm saying, I said a week or so ago when we did our tinfoil hat night, right? My theory was that not only is Musk going to get that, he's going to leverage it into his Moon City thing, and he's going to leverage that to make about another $3.5 trillion, which he's then going to spend half of to get everybody to Mars.
Right.
and build Battlestar Galactica and send 10,000 people at once. Here
Yeah,
you go. Now I got
yeah,
two for the price of one, and
yeah.
in half the time. Works for me.
It does. It does work for me. It does, like legit. It's like, wow, that plan could work. Uh, yeah.
But then you skip over to other people. I don't know how big of players they are. I mean, I get stuff from them all the time. Um, they're called PitchBook,
Oh yeah, PitchBook. Yep.
and I'm hooked up with them, and I get a lot of stuff from them. I don't know what their track record is as a hardcore analyst. That's usually not the material I get from them, but they're insisting that valuation is justifiable.
PitchBook's a local Seattle group, and
Yeah.
I would vouch for them. They track I don't know, make up a number, tens of thousands of transactions a year. Uh, they they've got information, they've got intel on practically every space company that's raised money, and it's interesting insight. So I would give them the benefit of the doubt on that.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
yeah, I would. What did they say? They said it was worthwhile.
They didn't say a whole lot. They just said it was justifiable. It's a Bloomberg article, so you only get half of it. The rest of it's blanked out unless you go through their paywall. But it's just this was a quick little blurb. I just thought, PitchBook, really? Okay. And again, on that same topic, I wish it was happening tonight, but it's going to happen next week. We're going to have someone come in who has a slightly different point of view and has written a very interesting paper about this topic, and we're going to hear from that on a week from tonight. So we'll be advertising that heavily over the next 7 days, because I think we're going to get some interested folks to hear what this guy has to say. I'll be talking about that more at the end of the night. Okay. Next up, interestingly, we were talking a couple of weeks ago when Blue decided they weren't going to do New Shepard flights for a while, or putting that on hold so they could build their moon lander. And we're thinking, well, who's going to pick up the slack? And we found this Chinese startup that wants to do it.
Right. Yeah.
They wanted to pick up the slack, and we were kind of going on about that. Well, are they going to just lose the market share forever if they stay shut down more than 2 years? Are they going to lose it to that? Yeah. Well, guess what? I guess Virgin Galactic sees an opportunity.
Right. I love that.
And they want to come in and do something. The timing cannot be better for them. They've had some problems of their own, and they've been moving people around. So if they can pull something off, that would be interesting. It keeps that market here in the States. I think it should be, really. And just being a pro-America guy, I want to see that.
I do want to see it. Tom, you and I were there on the tarmac when SpaceX won. Sorry, no, what am I just saying? When Virgin Galactic won the X Prize. It wasn't even Virgin Galactic then. What am I saying here?
Yeah, yeah.
Burt Rutan. Sorry. Right.
Guy. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm thinking about that classic image with Branson on the tarmac, and I couldn't actually think of the name.
Right, I know. But Virgin Galactic was like literally founded that day. I think,
exactly.
On the heels of getting that check.
Yeah.
So, but then we all thought a few years later there's going to be a lot of tourist flights, and that just didn't pan out.
Well, it would be great if Virgin could swing back around and take on this market miss. I said last week before that I think Blue is making a dramatic error, and I think it's going to cost them. And so great if Virgin can come in and step into that space. That would be terrific. I don't have the same confidence in Virgin that I do in Blue.
Yeah.
You know, when Whiteside's left, what has that been now? 5 years, 4 years?
Yep.
They it seems like they've just gone in circles since then. So I'm gonna root on Virgin because, as we just said, we were there the day it was founded. But I don't have confidence in them as a company to execute on this plan. And here's Blue giving up, a known customer base and a reliable. I mean, yeah, it's expensive. They're probably not making money at it yet, but that tech is vital. And but if anybody's going to turn it into point-to-point suborbital, maybe it's Virgin. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, they do have a working vehicle now.
Yeah.
That's it's at least nothing's ever safe, but it's safe enough.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because they went through a hell of a hard time, in the development process. That's why it took so long. We thought it would be, they won the X Prize, so next year we'll be seeing, flights on version 2. That never happened. We waited a decade for that or more, and they, and the development process killed a couple people, and so it was, hey, these things happen, and if anybody got the, had the hard times in their development process, it was them.
Right. Dallas reminds us it was scaled composites.
Scaled composites.
My brain was just like,
I know. We're having brain
I
farts.
named 6 companies. I knew they were all wrong, and thanks for clarifying that. Yes, the legendary Burt Rutan at Scaled Composites.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they're made a big announcement about it. So, all publicity is good publicity. For most folks, so we'll see what they can do. I mean, I'll root for them. I'm not expecting as much as they do from Blue, but there's. But I like to see him.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I like to see him come back. I would like to see him come back.
I'm going to put up Joe's comment on the screen for a second because I think it's worth taking a moment on.
Yeah.
Virgin's mistake was holding on to their hybrid motor way longer than they should have. I think that's a industry consensus. I think everybody.
Yeah, but I also have to throw in something else. He also made a bigger mistake by not hanging on to Tim Pickens.
Yeah.
Tim Pickens was the guy that actually got that thing to fly in the first place, and and after the X Prize, they should have kept him.
Yeah. That was that was a loss. But you kind of glossed over something that I want. A lot of people don't know that Virgin killed 3 people in their devs so far, and it's, as far as I know, the only deaths in the industry in recent memory. Right?
Yeah.
So, as spectacular as SpaceX's unscheduled disassembly,
rapid disassembly. Yeah.
I don't think they've killed anybody. Right?
No people were on those things.
Right. So the only folks I can think of that have killed people in this industry have been.
I think only one guy died in that crash, and the pilot.
Only one died in the crash, but there were 2 others
that died on the ground in an exploding fuel tank.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear.
Yeah.
Those guys weren't in flight.
Yeah.
They were just doing the groundwork that you have to do to make a rocket go.
Yeah. So, I mean, that happened under Whiteside's watch. So I have a lot of confidence in him to have changed the culture there. But, I do have a little skepticism for Virgin, even though I want to root for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh God, what do we got? We may have to go on and on and on. So there's that. Now there's another thing that's on the Hill. It was kind of interesting. And talking about NASA and their commercial space industry, and a bunch of economists are saying NASA fired all the economists, and now they need them back, and they need them back right now.
Right. I definitely agree with this.
It desperately needs to bring them back.
So under the madness that was Doge, a lot of people that were pretty useful got a pink slip.
Yep.
And one of them was the entire office of the chief economist at NASA on a different program. We never had him on our unknown quantity show, but we had him. We had Dr. Alex McDonald on our show on a prior show, probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Super interesting guy, super valuable. Results at the office of the chief economist. And I do find it funny that they're like, oops, maybe we shouldn't have dodged everybody.
Well, I worked with him when he was at the portal.
I forgot that. Yeah, you know him like directly.
Well. Actually, during the glory days, we got those big NASA grants through Ames. Thank you. He was running that program.
I forgot that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's reach out to McDonald.
Absolutely.
He went on somewhere. His team started a consultancy, and they're still writing reports for think tanks, but I don't know what happened to him. Do you know where he went, where he landed?
Oh, Alex McDonald? Well, I know he retired not too long ago. He retired NASA just not too long ago, like last year or something.
Yeah. He retired.
I haven't kept up on where he went, if he started his own consulting practice. But that's what those guys usually do. They go through the revolving door, start a consulting practice, and then go back to the place they used to work and, charge a bigger fee.
Yeah.
That's pretty normal.
So this gal, this contributor, opinion contributor, Mary Gunther, she's basically saying, like, look, this industry is moving really fast. We are trying to go back to the moon. It would be great if we had a plan that gave us like an economic reality for this going back to the moon.
Yep.
So it's an interesting article. I'm going to read one section of it. 2 short paragraphs. China already has its space station in orbit and is actively recruiting other nations to partner. Without an American alternative for nations to use their crewed and scientific space program, the U.S. stands to lose significant global soft power. This is the sort of misstep NASA economists were meant to help avoid. In fact, the former head economist at NASA published an article late last year that used this exact program as a case study to show how NASA should work to create markets for its innovative space capabilities. So, it was kind of cool.
Well, of course, but these guys she's the head of the space policy at the Progressive Policy Institute. And of course, their focus is going to be on, government type solutions. So we fired the NASA economist, but why does it have to be economist that takes a government paycheck? I guess the question I would also ask that, she didn't bother to bring up. And that's, and I get it. You're in the swamp, and this is what they do. We need more guys in the swamp doing our swamp stuff instead of somebody else's swamp stuff. Okay. Now, my concern is that you'd think there'd be plenty of economists that are actually tied to our industry somehow already that could be hired as consultants. I don't know if that costs them more money or less money in the long run to do exactly the same work. I know a guy right now. His name's Sam Dinkin. I've known him for years. He'd be a great guy. Bring and see who you can bring in. Maybe some
as a contract.
Yeah,
as a contractor.
And maybe that would be a better way to do it and save a few bucks, but you still get bang for the buck. Possible. Right.
That's fair.
Again, as I asked as I asked last show, I said, look, is this do we need to unleash Jared Isaacman or is what we currently have what unleashing Jared Isaacman looks like?
Speaking of Isaacman,
answered to my satisfaction, but
no, it hasn't. Well, so there's a reauthorization bill that cleared the Senate. It's not part of our normal news today, but
it is actually. I did mention it. Yeah.
That's right. Are you covering that one? Okay. Let's just jump straight to that one. It's the next one in, Sean. about the NASA authorization that wants to extend the ISS for 2 extra years. There's other stuff that we're going to talk about the moon base and everything, but that's kind of a big deal, and I do wonder if that is if that's Isaacman like working behind the scenes saying, look, what we don't want a gap in human spaceflight up there. Maybe we need to give these folks a little bit more breathing room.
Yep.
So yeah. I gotta say, the Space Policy Online article, it has Ted Cruz right next to my senator in Washington State, Maria Cantwell. That is they don't usually agree on very much, right? Those folks are pretty far red and pretty far blue, and I rarely see them agreeing on something. So it is kind of nice.
Well, you know what? It's a space. If you can have Americans and Russians sleeping in the same module on the ISS, nothing.
Space is purple.
Nothing happens. Then I guess they can do that too on this topic.
Good. Yeah. Space is purple.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Reauthorization Act? Anything else you want to bring up?
On this,
a little bit more money.
It's a little bit more money. Again, it goes into these details of the exploration upper stage for Block 1B and a taller, stronger mobile launcher to support the larger vehicle. But the bill doesn't require NASA to proceed with either one. So. And after decades of space enthusiasts aspiring to establish a permanent moon base, the bill directs NASA to do that as soon as practicable, whatever that means.
And the author put it in quotation marks because
So they're calling, but it's basically it's ISS on the moon now. It's a permanently crewed U.S. presence on the moon, capable of long-duration habitation, robotic and industrial operations to advance science, technology, DTT. A project so complicated it can only be done by a government agency, like roads. It's one of those days, man. Everybody just waving the flag of, big tech should mean big government. I don't know. I don't know. Amtrak. Yeah, Amtrak. Yeah, that's another example of government interest in transportation systems that goes on and on and long after those transportation systems have been kind of marginalized or outdated.
Well,
and they've been doing that since the Erie Canal.
What it brings to mind is I can't do Rick Tomlinson's accents justice. But the way he breaks down the space sector into Saganites, let's do science for the space for the sake of science, or the O'Neillians, which is the camp we tend to be in, which is like, let's go out there and build and a lot of Heinlein influence to that. And then there's the von Braunians, look what your great government can do for you, look but don't touch, right? Or I guess Sagan is look but don't touch, and von Braunians are let's get out there, let's have your government lead us out.
Right. If we have our bold heroes going on to Mars, all 2,000 of them,
there you go.
And we can just sit and applaud, and no one else gets to go.
Yeah. I want to do a shout out to some of our audience here. Wes, hey. Morty, hi. Thanks for showing up, Joe. Appreciate it always. Dr. Plata, you're totally right. If anyone dies on a blue suborbital, then the relatively little profit that they are making won't have been worth it. I agree, but I don't think that's why they were doing it. I think they were. I think they're missing an opportunity there.
Alice Beanhoff is spot on in saying, the government can't afford it. It must be commercial.
Yeah.
Well, if we were going commercial, we probably get a lot farther, a lot faster, but no one can tell these guys.
Yeah.
they'll have to take
And
through.
Dallas is also reminding us that the SBIR reauthorization bill is also at the
Yeah.
Senate. So
Okay.
hopefully some good news in the next couple of days that have direct impact to us.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. What's the next thing? Oh yeah. Here we go. A Spanish launch startup I never heard of.
Well, wait, because it's the same we never heard of from last week. This is PLD maybe a month ago.
209 million. Yeah.
Yeah. We keep seeing these organizations we never heard of, but this one we actually did talked about them in the news just a couple of weeks ago. But
okay,
we don't know this industry. We don't know what's happening in Europe very well. This goes right to the thing that we keep talking about is sovereignty, right? Nations want to build their own capacity. I am beginning to think that all of these national programs is going to wind up where we thought it was going to be 5 or 8 years ago when there were 150 tracked space companies, launch companies, and most of them have fallen to the edges. I do wonder if the nation of Spain can support a rocket launch industry. That seems pretty ambitious, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Right. It's not clear from any of these articles whether, who their customers are going to be.
Right.
I mean, it's great that you got 209 million. Okay, now what? What are you launching and for whom and who's going to pay you? That's never clear with these guys. But then there were 5 other companies or 4 other companies, including PLD and this competition they were having in Europe. And so far, PLD seems to be the only one that's getting some traction. There's a German company. Remember, they failed. Their first rocket failed 30 seconds off the pad. And so they got a ways to go if they want to be truly, independent, not dependent so much on us for their launch systems and other things.
This is something that kind of like I missed this when I read this earlier. I'm just seeing it now. The latest fusion funding in fusion was driven by Japanese manufacturer Mitsubishi, which invested 50 million into the company. So that is interesting to me because who was it that launched a rocket that nobody was expecting at the beginning of the year? Was that Honda?
That was Honda.
Yeah. So is this Mitsubishi saying, okay, Honda, not so fast?
Yeah, it could be.
Right. I mean, I didn't catch that the first time. So this is really more of a question. I don't have any other information, but yeah, I think that's pretty interesting to me.
Meantime, there's another Japanese rocket company. I saw it today. They've been trying to get some stuff going, and they failed on their 3rd launch attempt now.
Which one is that? I don't know that one. Because 3 is usually.
It was all over the news for like days.
I missed that.
No, it wasn't JAXA. It wasn't. Who are these guys? Oh, give me a second.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
It matters to me now that I've forgotten what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, I actually really like that Europe is running this competition. I'm just going to list off the name of the companies. The 5 companies selected for competition were ISAR Aerospace in Germany, Maya Space, and Ariane Group's subsidiary in France. So that's interesting all by itself that it's Ariane Group that did that. Orbital Express, Orbex, but Orbex has been in trouble, and we just talked about Skyrora trying to buy them, and somebody else trying to buy them, and the UK stepped in and played favorites. And then PLD Space, which is the one we just talked about, and Rocket Factory Augsburg in Germany. So Germany has 2 of them.
Okay.
I thought that
was Kairos. It's called Kairos.
Kairos. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
and just yesterday showed fragments appearing a little more than a minute after liftoff. So they've had 3 strikes now.
Drat. Well, fingers crossed. That's not good for them.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? What else we got?
Well, there's a software company called Mutable Tactics, and they raised 2.1 million for AI drone coordination in what they call satellite denied environments. Military AI software enabling groups of military drones to operate autonomously even when sat navigation and comms are disrupted. So I just thought that interesting.
Yeah.
Future of warfare, you know?
The Ukrainian Zelensky offered to send a bunch of drones. I think it was to Israel this week as an early warning system. They're like, we're kind of good at this. You guys might want to pay attention.
Well, you know who else was good at it for a long time? Ready for this? Iran. And here's what happened. Our military actually captured one of those drones intact and took it apart and said, okay, this is because it was very effective. I thought, this is good tech. So what they did was they took that, they made a bunch of improvements on it, and then built a bunch more of them and are now sending them back at the Iranians.
Yeah.
Trump and trolling. It's just, it's basically that's trolling is what that is in my book. It's good and it's terrible at the same time. I mean, nobody likes war, but you got shit like that. It's like, okay, that took some cleverness.
I would love to read the rest of this article from Space News, but again, paywalls. This return to the space SPAC.
Yes.
I'm going to read you everything that I've got here, and it leaves a lot of open questions. But former investment banker Raphael Rotigen, which we've had on our show, he's a great guy, had to abandon a space-focused special purpose acquisition company in 2022 as hype around mergers with blank check shell companies turned radioactive. 4 years later, he's back after helping raise more than $200 million to take a space company public. But I don't have any more information from that, so I'm going to go look that one up because I'm super curious about what's happening.
Yeah, because we mentioned it the other day, and I thought we should talk about that some more. Because if they're really making a comeback, I want to know who's involved and what's going on and how much money they're putting in. But see, here's the thing with me. I see these articles. I know they're space news, and they put a paywall on there, but they don't at first. You click on the thing, you see the whole damn article, and then a few minutes later, it shrinks to this.
Right.
And it's just annoying as hell.
Super frustrating because we set everything up and then we're stopped. Yeah. All right. Not sure if I have anything else on that topic, but Raphael's great. He's an ISUer, like him a lot. I'd like to see what he's doing, so I'm going to look him up and see if we can get a little bit of follow-up on that. Sean, he'd be a great guest to bring back onto the show, by the way.
Yeah, especially if he's starting a space SPAC. Yeah, I want him back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. What else we got?
Well, here's the thing. It was interesting because when Russia broke their launch pad at Baikonur, we thought it'd be at least a year before they came back. But today, via Reuters, they're claiming that it's been repaired.
Fresh concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. I mean, your comment at the beginning of the show is I'll believe it when I see the next launch, but yeah, November. It got damaged in November, so that's not that long.
Yeah, well, actually, it's in 2 weeks. The state news agency cited Roscosmos.
No, I'm saying like the repair didn't take a
Right,
while.
right, right. It's
Sorry,
November last year, and now March 22nd, they're already planning a launch. So
that's great.
we won't have long to wait. But yeah, that damaged pad was the only one able to handle Soyuz and the Progress vehicle,
Yeah,
which are crucial for ISS. So yeah,
I see.
so they did double time.
Good on them. Not not loving what's happening in Russia these days, but um, still, this is good work. So credit where it's due. All right, we are winding down on some of our news here.
I know it's only been because we were supposed to have a guest, and that guest has not appeared. Our apologies to
Right.
everyone about that. And we're not.
So we got two more articles, and then we'll kind of turn it over to our audience for comments and questions and topics and tomfoolery. I think.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, this nest on Blue Origin apparently purchased 20 acres of heavy industrial land for $11.5 million a couple weeks ago, and so that signals a major production expansion as they move to compete with SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
And it's barely 10 miles from KSC, so they just recorded the deed in Brevard County, and the seller is Coxwell Family LLP, a partnership based in Melbourne.
It's a pretty big facility when you look at it from their drone's eye view.
Oh yeah. But the CEO told Bloomberg the company would move heaven and earth to beat SpaceX to the moon. Let's go. We're all in. So there we go.
That space race is a new flavor of space race. I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting we call it a space race, and it's really between two big companies.
Yeah.
And not governments anymore, I mean, we keep paying lip services. Yeah, we're going to send Artemis to the moon, and we're going to beat China there. But no, the real race is between two giant mega corporations looking for bragging rights.
Right. I'm going to give them a little more credit because I think it's more than bragging rights. But there's bragging rights. Don't misinterpret that.
The bragging rights leads to a lot of things.
Well,
leads more opportunities.
SpaceX has a lot to lose now, right? Like if they really push this 1.7 trillion IPO, they have a lot to lose that wasn't at stake 6 months ago.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm that they have a whole new level of pressure on them. It's going to be a vice that I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Blue is out there doing what they need to do to tackle this.
Well, I'm become a fan of their lander. I got to tell you, because just
because it's wide and flat, or because it's got wide legs.
Well, it got wide legs. It's squat, and it has a stairway that comes down, and you can just walk casually down to the surface.
Like almost,
I'm in. An old guy like me could go to the moon, and I yell, "Hey, I'm just taking a walk. I'm grabbing onto the handrail and going sliding down there. I'll be fine." Instead, as opposed to the other one where I got to hook up to a harness somewhere and be lowered to the surface.
Elevator would be super handy at that point. Yep.
There's a guy who likes elevators a lot.
Yeah, I do. All right. What do we got here? Last thing. Jump into it. What do you got?
Well, I got all sorts of shit I could do beyond the last thing, but okay. Oh, yeah. Our visual capitalist thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a view of what just to show everybody what the entire global economy looks like by purchasing power.
I threw this up because I always like having this reality check of, here we are thinking our 600 plus $1 billion economy is such a big deal.
And
And
it's
it is.
basically the
We beat
size.
a lot of nations.
It's basically the size of Norway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Right. Like Norway's cool.
Norway's
good for Norway.
Not just anything wrong with Norway, but that's the size of our whole industry right now is Norway.
Right.
Which is
Czechia,
significant in and of
Norway.
itself when you think about it. But
we're beating Denmark. Yep. So, right, like that's the way to think of it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And if we can triple that and get up to 1.8 trillion or so, we'll be up there with Thailand.
Right. Right.
The only way you take on the big countries in terms of output like that, you got to build that moon city. You got to do a settlement on Mars. You got to, get into the drug trade, as Sean says. You gotta start mining those asteroids, and then you build up that capability. But it's gonna be, we got a ways to go yet.
We do.
The good news is we'll see that trillion in a few years.
We will. Yeah, no, we will. It's growing really fast.
Will I live to see 2 trillion? I don't know.
Well, give yourself some credit, right? So that Mach 33 event that I was on this morning, so I'll give you some background. DARPA a couple months ago came up with a plan that says it's called Luna 10, and a bunch of companies that we know and like, Intuitive Machines and Redwire and a bunch of those folks, they came in and they gave some plans, and DARPA mapped out like what does 2025 look like, sorry, 2030, because it came out in 2025. Was 2030, 35, 40 look like? And they gave some numbers and some parameters about what they thought that trajectory was going to look like. And that came out before SpaceX's announcement to pivot to focus exclusively on the moon. And that came out before Blue Origin's cutting a major program so they could refocus energy on the moon. Sure. Right? Take that those other engineers and focus them on the moon. So even though that report's only a few months old, it's automatically out of date with those two big changes. So this is what the Mark 33 folks were talking about. And then they overlaid, here's the graph that DARPA was looking at. And then all of a sudden, when you add SpaceX to the mix, they're, according to the Mach 33 people, as professional analysts, they're saying that SpaceX is going to have 25 missions to the moon by 2030, and that's the equivalent of about 500 tons of cargo going to the moon. And that's 250, in their words, 250 SUVs to the moon in just the next 5 years with that one company alone. So if that's true, it amplifies all of the other signals that were already moon bound and makes it more attractive, makes it easier to get to. SpaceX will bring their own cargo and equipment, but they'll be ferrying other people's cargo and equipment. It's interesting. Between SpaceX and Blue, they've basically rewritten the path to the moon in just the last 6 weeks or so. So,
yep.
Yeah.
We'll see
it's cool. Yeah.
Well, that's it for that. However, I always have spares. Just in case.
All right.
So here's something. here's something, and we could do that too. We got a couple of minutes, but I want to throw this one thing because I've been sitting on it for a while, wondering where I could use it for anything. And
Okay.
so I'm going to post that link in the private chat right now for you guys. It's a Wired story that says this is the worst thing that could happen to the International Space Station, and it's one of those things, and it's just being wounded. It's a thing where because debris pelts the ISS all the time because we always talk about we're gonna deorbit this thing in 2030, and but there's a there's a good way to throw out the ISS, but then there's a really bad way. And that's actually a really big an actual breach from a major impact. And there's because if you have a 20 centimeter wide hole, you have less than a minute to respond. And that's pretty bad. And the thing is, they have what they call a pizza box, is a no-fly zone around the ISS. So if a piece of debris is predicted to enter the box, which means at least a 1 in 100,000 chance of collision, they do avoidance maneuvers. And they fire thrusters and dodge the trash. It's been used dozens of times. But the system only tracks about 45,000 larger pieces. I think I have an app on my phone that does that too. So, I mean, there you go, right? They have Faber key buffers that envelop some of the systems. And there's a bumper called the Whipple Shield, helps blunt impact. But a wounded ISS would be very rotten luck. And so they put the odds of the risk of debris causing a depressurization event in any 6-month period was between 1 in 36 and 1 in 170.
Okay.
Those aren't great odds.
Right.
Yep. And so you got two choices. You got to plug the leak in less than a minute or close the hatch to the leaking section.
Hopefully there's nobody on the other side, because that's a movie script, right?
Yep. Yeah, that is. That is. Right, because once pressure falls to around 490 millimeters of mercury, critical system risk breaking down. They could suffer hypoxia, oxygen deprivation. They could become delirious. And then it's a heart-wrenching call, but if nothing can be done, they need to go to their crew vehicles and get out of there. And it's all, of course, there are other things that could happen. A fire, we've been there. A toxic ammonia leak. That's a lot of their coolant has ammonia in it. So, yeah, that would be a big thing. There's no one single plan to abandon ship, because everything depends on, everything, as they say. But something can happen, because a giant piece of space trash will now be headed toward Earth, albeit very slowly, and with the oversight of the world's top space engineers and scientists. But now it's not, now it's not being crewed. It's just floating around. So.
Yeah, my timing's a little off with this analogy, so just kind of bear with me. But I have a 1974 Porsche. I love this car. It's my favorite car ever. But my 2015 Prius is a way better machine, a way better engineered machine. And I use those examples because the ISS was designed in the 80s, and it's kind of like my Porsche, right? Like the plan that made sense 40 years ago doesn't necessarily make sense tonight, right? So, Vast, we don't have the article up, but Vast raised $500 million today to do commercial space station. We talked about Axiom a week ago with $300 million. There are, depending on how you count it, there's at least 5 very credible, very large space station companies. So those folks have got to replace the ISS. Like, that machine is not a safe machine in the way that my car, my Porsche, is not that great because my maintenance is not that great, right? I haven't driven it in 2 years because I have a crack in the axle. Right. and God knows what kind of stresses and strains the ISS has endured up there.
True. But Dallas has an important point. What about B-52s? Those things are still flying 70 years later,
Way better maintenance program, and you
yes.
tell me that a B-52 has not had every part replaced over the time frame.
Of course.
That. Yeah. It's
but
not
your Porsche hasn't.
B-52 that came out of the car, right?
Your Porsche hasn't had everything replayed, and so the only thing I poke, the only hole I poke in your analogy in that case is because the Porsche is still technically a performance sports car.
Right.
There is a secondary market for classic, fully restored performance sports cars on this planet.
Yeah.
And now I can't liken the ISS to a classic performance sports car.
I said my analogy was a little stretch.
I mean, you're going to show it off. Is there an auto show day in space? I'm going to bring my old ISS out here and put it out there. Look at this. It's shiny. I got it restored. I'm living in it. Just me.
I did say that my analogy was a little bit stressed. Joe makes a great comment, though. It should have been designed like the ship of Theseus, where it is little at a time replaced, and it's not the same ship anymore as it was originally.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the shuttle was the same way. Yeah. They almost half rebuilt it between each flight.
Yeah,
starting with all the tiles, and so there's a lot of complexity in that we just wouldn't put in a device like that today if we had one at all.
Right. Sean wants us to do 5 years and 25-year prediction for you. So you go first.
Okay. 5 years. 5 years. We've got some private commercial space stations. They'll find a way to extend ISS life another 2 or 3 years, just because there's going to be some factor that's going to keep it up there, because maybe the commercial things aren't having the replacement rate of humans up there as fast as the industry claims that they can do, and maybe they're not quite there yet, but they're getting there. They're out there. I think Artemis will land on the moon at least once. I don't know about twice. We will get there. Whether it'll matter or not is really up to us. Yeah, because we have to turn this thing around, because the commercial doesn't take over this thing and take it over very, very quickly. My 25-year prediction is useless, which is an actual settlement on the moon and a lot of commercial stuff. And NASA pushes on to further exploration out into the solar system, and they leave cislunar to the commercial interests at least 90% of the time, much like New York Harbor. Most of the ships that go in and out of New York Harbor are privately owned. They're not naval vessels, but you get a few. So there'll be a naval base out there, probably run by Space Force, but it's not going to be the exclusive domain of government space programs anymore. It will be cislunar space. They'll be on their way in 25 years. So that's what I got to say.
I'll totally cheer that on. I'm going to say, because I've got a hammer, so everything looks like a nail. It's you'll have a functioning elevator on coming out of Sinus Medea on the Earth Moon Lagrange 1, and you will be developing an L2 site also, and that's in the next 5 years. But pushing outside of my own boundaries, downmass, manufacturing and downmass, that's going to be the next driver of this next wave. I do think that folks like Musk and Philip at StarCloud are going to get their giant constellations of data centers. So I think data centers are going to happen also. It's going to prove pretty damn hard, but I think they're going to get there. So those are my 5 years: down mass and manufacturing, data centers, and more elevator stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't care about 25 years.
You don't care about 20. I want to still be alive.
Right.
I want to see it all. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I want you to. Anyway, so we lost our guest tonight. I don't know what happened to him. I'm sorry about that, everybody. And maybe we'll get him to come on Monday, because we don't have a guest scheduled for Monday. And so maybe we'll salvage this, in a few days.
You were going to tease another guest, though?
Yeah, I am, because on Thursday we're going to have a serious chat about the ins and outs of the that 1.7 trillion valuation. And somebody we know doesn't have has a less sanguine view of the whole thing, and he just finished writing a draft of an incredible analysis paper that explains why in just vivid, vicious detail. And we'll be sharing that paper with everyone. We're not hiding it by Thursday. And that guest is Shubber Lee.
Nice.
And
Always.
so that's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to end up out in public. It's going to be, on various outlets, that paper, and on the Space Cynics blog as a revival of that, all the same day. And then we have Shubber on to explain it all. And I hope a lot of people here will come and listen to this and read it and come on in and make their comments, because this is going to be a wild, wild time on Thursday. And so there we go. And until next time, if we don't get a guest Monday, we'll return to our normal hearsay, innuendo, and general tomfoolery, as always, 8 p.m. Eastern. For Michael Lane and Sean Key from the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, I remain Dallas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.